Welcome to the Dixie Doggers podcast. We're here to share knowledge and heritage. We hope y'all enjoy. For the best cut gear in the business, get with Dave Williams at Southern Cross Cut Gear. www.hogdoggear.com.
If you're buying or selling land, farms, or hunting property, these folks know land. Phil Wilson with UC Hunting Properties, 678-791-3483.
777 Kennels, Advanced K9 Nutrition. Vertex K9 Essentials, Advanced K9 Nutrition, beneficial to all breeds. You can contact them at 979-206-3050. Whenever you get ready, or Nate, you ready to hit the record, dude?
Everything's good.
We're good to go whenever you're ready, buddy.
All right, everybody. We're back with another episode of Don't Run with Lite Hounds. We got Mr. Chuck G out of Idaho going to talk to us about lions and bears and everything up there. Mr. Chuck, why don't you introduce yourself? Tell us about what you do and where you're from and how you got into hound hunting.
I'm in here in southeast Idaho. Been here my whole life. I'm a second generation hound guy, so I grew up with the dog lead in my hand, so been doing it forever. We chase a few bears in the summertime and try to chase as many cats in the wintertime as we can. My son is a guide up here in this corner of the world, so we get out quite a bit. He guides quite a few lion hunters, does a few elk and a few deer clients as well, so we spend quite a bit of time together in the woods and just have a blast. We most of what we do is lion chasing because I own an excavation company, so I get a lot of time in the wintertime when we get froze out. So anyway, way fun. Good place to raise kids, good place to spend time in the woods.
You bet. Sounds like it. So you got third generation houndsmen too with your boys?
Yeah, the boys are coming up and they just took over and kind of running their own dogs and doing their own thing. So yeah, it's kind of fun to watch those guys progress, and they're doing a nice job running their own dogs.
How old are they?
Well, I've got a 19 and a 21-year-old.
Nice.
So yeah, both of those boys are going pretty hard right now.
Did they start up their own outfit, or did y'all take one over? Y'all have the same one you've always had, or how does that work?
Yeah, so in the state of Idaho, an outfitter has to own the area, and then a guide comes in under him. So it costs millions of dollars to buy that unit or that group of units, and then as a guide, you just come in underneath him. So that's what he's doing right now.
Gotcha. That was going to be my next question, is how that worked. I know we were elk hunting in Colorado a couple months ago, and we were trying to find somebody to help pack this elk out that I shot. And I had a buddy in Texas, and of course I've got my inReach, so I've got a little bit of texting capability, and I text him to shop around, see what he can find. And well, come to find out, technically that little area was, I don't know, owned or however it is, but he was the only outfitter that was supposed to be up in that area. But it was funny because we had offers from other guys to come pack us out too, and you could tell they were like, oh, maybe we could come up with 2 horses, and get you out of there for this set price or whatever. And whenever all said and done, we ended up running into the outfitter out there, and he's like, oh yeah, we're the only ones supposed to be up here, technically outfitting. So it's funny that somebody else offered to come or whatever and help us out. And I was like, yeah, I think they were probably trying to slip under the radar with just having 2 horses and pretend like they were on a self-guided type deal.
Yeah, it's a little touchy. Them outfitters get a little touchy about their units. Make sure that nobody's coming in and flying underneath the radar and stealing any money from them.
I can imagine. I mean, I get it. If that's your livelihood and that's your area and you know it well, it'd be kind of, somebody coming in there and maybe getting a little bit of the, income that you could have gotten or whatever. I imagine that's a touchy subject.
Oh yeah. Yeah, my little brother drew on a goat hunt a few years ago, and I had a buddy take us back in on this goat, and they took us back in about 9 miles and dropped us off. And the same thing, he was on his way back out and passed the outfitter on the way in. He's like, what are you guys doing in here? Like, no, just dropping off a buddy. They're like, oh, sure you are. you know.
A buddy, yeah. So how big is that area that they've got, or that they're allowed to guide on, or whatever?
Yeah, it's a pretty good sized area. It's probably, I don't know, 40 miles wide and that deep, probably 40 by 40 miles. So it's a
Wow,
big chunk of ground.
that's awesome. And I'm sure that
Yep.
that specific outfitter's had it for generations, or how.
Yeah, yeah, for a long time. Yeah, it kind of borders Yellowstone National Park up there in that corner.
Oh wow,
Wow.
wow.
So yeah, a lot of the elk and a lot of the deer and stuff that they hunt are migratory elk that come out of the park.
Wow.
Yeah,
So that's some hollow ground there. That's few and
yeah,
far between, I'd imagine.
yeah. It's a good unit, especially if you can catch it right. You know, during the hunt, you get that. They've got a late hunt where they hunt elk coming out of there, and so it's kind of a fun hunt if we get the weather just right.
Just get snow and bring them out of there, or how's it work?
Yeah, yeah. They just got to get a little bit of weather to push them out of the park, and a little bit of, and the same with the cats and stuff. The cats will pull out of the park down there, and so you're just waiting for a little bit of weather. My daughter's got a big mule deer hunt that runs late in there this year, so we're just waiting for a little bit of weather to push them big boys out of there.
So is the elevation in Yellowstone that much higher, or
Yeah,
no?
it is.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. They'll come
makes
down to winter
sense.
ground and winter around 6,500 feet or something like that.
Oh, okay.
Yellowstone up there's around 8,000, 9,000 feet.
I got you. What's the tall point around there? Colorado, where we were, the mountain next to us was like 11.5. Is there anything like that tall over there? Or?
Oh, sure. Yeah, you got the Grand Teton that's right there just south, by Grand Teton National Park that's right there.
Yeah.
So there's huge peaks and some really high country right there too. So
That's cool.
yeah, year-round glaciers up in there.
How high will them lions get?
Oh, they'll move up pretty good. They'll move. It's weird. We did the Fish and Game and the Hound Club did a lion study here a little bit ago, and we put GPS collars on lions a few years ago. And watching what some of them lions are doing, it's just crazy. They're traveling, 700-800 miles in a year,
Oh my God.
which is crazy. We never anticipated like a female lion traveling that far, and they
I was
have.
about to ask. Female and males doing that.
Yeah, yep, yeah. It's crazy. It's crazy the information that we've got the last few years just from them GPS collars.
And I mean, it's got to be game rich environment where y'all collared them, right? So I mean, not like they're leaving 700 miles to get more food, right?
Yeah, yeah. You have no idea why they're traveling the way because they're walking right past some of the biggest game populations. They're traveling right
Yeah.
past their water and good winter range and everything. Yeah, it is crazy how much they're traveling. Even females and kittens are traveling hundreds of miles.
That's wild.
Wow.
Yep.
So that's pretty wild. 700 or 800 miles.
State of Alabama, the long way is 400 miles, 407.
Yeah, that's crazy. We've talked to a few people, and it has to pertain to that. That's the only reason I'm even talking about it is, of course, here, Game and Fish will tell you for years, like, oh, we don't have any type lines. And, of course, there's on game camera and there's people that see them here and there. And they were like, well, there's some in Tennessee or in Georgia, and then there's some in Florida, and then there's some in South Mississippi. And I was like, well, it's just like bears. I'm like, well, do you think they don't travel? And they said, well, they might travel 70 to 100 miles maximum. And so that's what kind of we were always told here. And I was like, man, if they go 100 miles, that's to me, that's ridiculous. That's a long ways. But you're saying 600, 700, 800 miles? God almighty.
Yeah. The area that they collared them on was down on the Utah border, and they're picking them up on the Montana border.
Holy smokes.
So they're traveling all the way through this corner of the state of Idaho and then back.
Can you imagine the country that they get to see? God almighty.
Yeah.
That type of country just is very appealing to me because I'm a flatlander down in here in Texas. So when we get out there, it's just like such a new world. I can't even. So we were where we were at this year. We were pretty close to Wyoming, and we were third day. We decided to pack in pretty deep, and we come up on this girl out in the middle of nowhere on the trail with like little spandex shorts, a little tank top, and the tiniest little backpack you ever seen. And she looked like she'd been in the sun for a month. And I said, we were like, what are you, oh, I'm just trying to make it through Colorado before it snows. And my buddies, well, how long you been out here? She goes, well, I started at the Canada border. It's been 27 days now straight. And I was like, what are you talking about? I'm over here with a backpack that you could fit her in. And she's got a tiniest backpack I've ever seen. Like, I don't know how she don't freeze to death at night. And she's like, yeah, it's just, still got another 20 days or so of hiking. I'm like, God almighty. I imagine the stuff she saw from Canada to northern Colorado where we were at. And then she was trying to get to New Mexico.
Wow.
Like, that is insane to me.
Godspeed.
Yeah. I mean, and like I said, she was sunburnt, chapped lips. I mean, she didn't look like she'd eaten in a month. That was just blew me away. And she was as happy as could be, content as could be. I'm like, more power to you, sister.
Yeah, she could probably kick the tar out of all of us.
Oh, I guarantee it. I wouldn't want to cross her. So, what's the wolves like where you're at?
So they're not too bad. They don't come out this side too much. We've got 2 or 3 that stay in there every winter in that same unit. So they're not really crazy. They're right there in that unit, but they travel quite a ways. So there is some units in Idaho that are stupid lousy with them, but so far we haven't had any run-ins with them with the hounds yet.
Oh, thank God.
Yeah.
I was talking to a fellow not too long ago, and they had lost like half their pack at a tree. Got there and it looked like mayhem. And those wolves had come in and killed half the pack on a lion tree.
Yep.
Wow.
They are hard on the hound.
Well, at least that sounds like you got a pretty good unit to mess around in.
Yeah, it's been good. It's been good. We've hunted it for probably 20, 30 years, but this is only our second season of guiding in it. So it's kind of been interesting to watch and see what's going on with the age structure of the cast. We only book like 4 lion clients in there every winter. That way we can keep the age structure of our toms up and our trophy toms, our quality of our trophy toms. That way, we don't get into the smaller toms and we don't dip into our female population or anything like that. So we try to make it a good quality hunt, and it seems to be working. Last year, we left a couple pretty nice toms on the mountain, so they should be really nice toms this year.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's nice to be selected like that.
So how many? I mean, on a given hunt, will y'all tree multiple lines before you find a good tom, or?
No, most of the time we do a lot of homework before the client shows up, and we'll have a really nice tom found, and so we'll just specifically hunt him for a couple days. A lot of the guys that are buying the hunts that are local guys, those guys are usually tagged out in a day because we've done so much homework before they come, and then we kind of know where the lions stay in, and we're running really nice set of dogs right now that are really putting the scoot on them. So
tell us about the dogs.
Yeah, so we're running a little pack of plot dogs right now, mostly plots. We've got a little bit of walker stuff in there too. We've got some, Ball and Barney type walker dogs, and I just ordered a little walker dog out of northern Idaho. Be interesting to see how he turns out. It's got some good breeding, but for the most part, we're running a pretty good little pack of plot dogs. We run a lot of bear in the summertime, so we need a little bit of, it seems like those plots are a little bit better pressure dog maybe, and a lot of the bears that we're running are really hot tracked. So we're dumping right behind the bear most of the time, either rigging or straight off a bait. So yeah, they seem to be working really well for us, the breeding that we've got right now. Me and 2 other guys here from Southeast Idaho been swapping dogs back and forth for the last 25 years. So they'll make a cross and I'll pick up one, or I'll make a cross and they'll pick up one. And so yeah, it's been way good to watch this breeding apply, and these walkers that we've got too coming up, and they're doing a really nice job.
We'll be back after a quick break.
Quick thanks to the supporters of the Dixie Doggers podcast.
Lite Hounds.
Southern Cross Cut Gear.
Phil Wilson with UC Hunting Properties.
Rankin Ranch 38 Cattle Company.
777 Kennels Advanced Canine Nutrition.
And the old Boars N Broads.
Awesome. Did your father run similar bred dogs?
Yeah, so how when a guy first gets into it, he'll about pick up anything that anybody will give him.
Oh yeah.
So when he first got into it, he was getting everybody's cold dog in southeast Idaho, and after about a year of that, he's just got frustrated, and he's like, well, I've got to do something different. So he mail ordered a male walker from back in Ohio and had him flown in, and man, that dog was just the superstar. Just made us to what we are today. Figured learning together and watching him grow up and watching the dog progress and watching my dad learn when I was a little teeny kid was so much fun. And then he had, like that walker breeding, it was the old Hickory Nut Harry bred walker, from over there to Ohio. It was Oliver Close, is the guy's name, was out of Ohio.
Mm-hmm.
And he was I'm trying to remember the name. Oh, Hickory Hill Jack was the breeding. Anyway, he ended up being so impressed with that little walker dog. He got another cross, a female, and he started crossing his own walkers back here. And we ended up with a pile of walkers when I was a kid. I think we had 23 walkers in the backyard or something when I was a little teeny kid.
Awesome.
We had super good luck with them walker dogs. They was leggy, they was deep chested, had really tight feet on them, and man, they'd scoot a bear. They'd really push a nice bobcat, older bobcat track too. So they were nice hounds.
That's cool. So right now, how many dogs do you keep?
Yeah, we're keeping about 15 right now.
Okay.
So we've got some younger dogs that are up and comers, and then we've got some old dogs that are, well, I think my oldest dog sitting right now, I think he's 8 years old. I've got one old female that's just a lion dog that she's 12, but that's all I use her for is lions. But yeah, I've got about 15 back there, ranging in age from about 3 months old up to that 12-year-old dog.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So when you go out on a lion hunt, how many dogs are you packing?
So I can just pull behind my snow machine. So I'll have about 3 dogs in my box, and my boy will have about 3 dogs in his. So we're usually hunting about 6 dogs on a lion hunt. Sometimes a little bit less, sometimes a little bit more, but usually that's pretty average, is 6 dogs.
Gotcha. You got go ahead.
Those lions are so timid. It doesn't take much of a dog to push a lion up a tree. Most of the time, I've watched lions climb trees, a half mile ahead of the dog just because they hear it bark and they shoot up a tree and they know he's coming. So
Wow.
it doesn't. I mean, we've had a few encounters, but for the most part, a lion will climb a tree long before them dogs ever show up.
Wow. That's pretty cool. So you got like a sled with a dog box built on it?
Yeah, got a snow machine, and then it just pulls a trailer with the dog box on it. Put 3 dogs in that little dog box, and have a little tray on top of the dog box for my backpack and my snowshoes and stuff like that. And we just start about 3 o'clock in the morning and start running canyons until we find something.
There
And
you
just wait till daylight and dump loose. And sometimes we're on snowshoes for a couple of miles, and sometimes we're on snowshoes for 50 yards.
Wow.
Yeah, you just never know what the day's going to come. You try to. The good thing about it is you can grit it pretty good. You can, on a snow machine, you can shorten up your race pretty good. So you're constantly trying to shorten your race as much as possible, especially if there is a couple wolves that are staying in the area. Then you can just cut a bunch of roads and shorten your race to where you can get in there as quick as you can.
I gotcha. So if you're saying gridded up, you're talking about roads and you're able to cut like a fresher track than like the road
Yeah,
below, or
yep, yeah. So most of the time it's like ridges that run north to south, and then you can run every one of the bottom of the canyons on a road. You can run those bottom of the canyons, and it's probably a half mile apart, 3/4 mile apart, to where you can actually get that track freshened up pretty good, unless he does something goofy and blows up the top of a ridge. But for the most part, you can freshen him up pretty good before you ever turn loose.
so that unit you can drive vehicles in, like trucks and everything, or is it like 2-track stuff, or?
Uh, no, for the most part, the unit that we are hunting is going to be, we can run the roads on snow machine, but anything off road, then you're on foot.
Yeah.
So, but there's quite a few roads in there. There's quite a
Okay.
few roads to where you can cut it, and it's kind of handy that way. But there is places where you'll dump loose, and you'll think you're freshened up as much as you can. So you're in for a
Give her
day.
hell.
You better take a big backpack.
That's funny. I didn't know if maybe it was like a unit that you could only use like the wilderness stuff where you got to be on horseback or walking only.
Yeah, there's a lot of that. There's a lot of non-motorized stuff in there to where you can't take anything motorized in there,
Hmm.
which is nice, especially for
Oh,
deer and elk. But for lions, it'll whoop you on lions and stuff. But and then the unit that he hunts for deer and elk, it's in what they call the grizzly bear buffer zone. So that grizzly bear buffer zone, you can't bait and you can't run dogs in that buffer zone. So all the black bears in that unit where the elk hunts is spot and stock only.
I gotcha.
Mhm.
So there's a crazy good bear population in that unit.
Oh, I bet.
Y'all see many grizzlies, or is it pretty like the wolves?
Yeah, it's kind of like the wolves. There's a few that stray through there. The grizzly bears ain't really crazy in there, but there's a bunch, but you never see them.
Really?
The guys that kill elk and stuff like that are in there hunting elk and they kill an elk, they want to be pretty leery, how quick they get that carcass out of there, because they'll go back the next day to finish packing out meat or something, and
You bet.
they've got to get in a fist fight with the grizzly bear to get their carcass back.
Oh Lord. Mm.
So yeah, there's
Ugh.
there's a lot of that happens. The deer and elk hunters will go in there and they'll harvest a deer or elk or something like that, and then they'll go back in to finish getting the rest of the meat and have to run the grizzly off what they left behind.
I gotcha.
Yeah.
Y'all find lots of lion kills too, like when y'all are up scouting around?
Yeah. So in the wintertime we run off a lot of kills. A lot of the time what we're hunting is mule deer winter range. So all the mule deer come out and they bundle up on their winter range so we can hunt the winter range. And the lions are going to hone in on the winter range. So it's just a good place to go hunt deer is where they're all congregated up. So
Okay.
yeah, we find quite a bit. I mean, but the problem we've got here is the coyotes are so heavy that a mountain lion will go in and make a deer kill and bury it up, and then move off a couple of 100 yards to take a nap, and then 5 or 6 coyotes will come in there, clean up that lion kill, and then that lion's got to go make another kill.
Oh wow.
So they're actually having to kill twice as much just to be able to feed themselves and every coyote.
You'd think they'd pull them suckers up in a tree like a leopard or something. There'd be a hole. You could avoid all the coyotes and wolves there.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, and
That's funny.
some of the country we run, it's kind of like a high desert to where we're hunting 200-foot, shale cliffs. There's a lot of, cliffy stuff that we hunt. That the biggest tree is a juniper tree that's 10 feet tall.
Wow.
So there's quite a bit of that country too. So yeah, it's a really nice variety of what we've got. I mean, the winter range is awesome for deer, and as long as we can get in there and access the cats while they're on the winter range, it's sure saving a lot of deer.
That would just be
Gotcha.
so different from us. Having trees that are like 10 foot tall. Like, I mean, where we live in Alabama, and it's at the foothills of the Appalachian Mountains, and it's it's so heavily forested and wooded. Like you're not going to take it. I mean, if you need to really use a rifle here, then you're just not very good. You can do everything with a bow or a shotgun. I mean, for real. It's crazy how wooded, how heavy, how dense it is like that. But like when we go to Texas, we just think it's amazing because it's like you can see and everything.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah, it's wild. It's just like, man, we can see something in the field. But we have
Well,
a
like
lot of
not far
game.
west of me is like that. Like it's mesquite trees and there's no real trees. Like you go 2 hours west of me and you're in nothing but mesquites, but around me is, probably similar to you.
Yeah, I was thinking to say yours. You got more timber there. Yeah, it's pretty cool.
So when you're going on these lions, um, what's like a cold trail to you, like in the snow? Can you got a pretty good grasp on looking at a track and being like, oh, that's an hour, that's 12 hours, that's a day. Like what's a hot track and a cold track to you?
Yeah, that's what's nice. Uh, you know, if you talk to the dry ground guys down there, that are sucking the dirt down there in southern Utah, Arizona, and them guys are running, a 2 day old track in dirt and working him for 2 days before they get him jumped up. I mean, we can turn loose on a 3 day old track here, and they're just going to pick it and pick it and pick it. But it's snow, so they can pick it pretty good at a 3 day old track.
Hmm.
If we get a track that's 12 hours old in the snow, they're screaming that thing. They're moving him pretty good at 12 hours old. But you get one that's 2-3 days old, they'll pick him, but they're going to pick him a lot faster in the snow than any other condition for sure.
Are those hounds pretty open on a trail?
Yeah, depends. There's a lot of the dogs that won't say a peep until it's jumped, so they're just working the track silent until they get him jumped up. But for the most part, if we're within 5 or 6 hours, they're really vocal on track.
Oh, but
Yeah.
do y'all? I guess on the lions you're dropping on a track, but on the bears, do y'all rig them at all?
Yeah, so we're rigging bears and we're running off of bait sites.
Okay,
So
cool.
so most of the time when we're rigging, it's a fairly hot track. Sometimes, we'll turn loose on a bait site. We'll be, 8 hours behind on a bait site. And as long as it's not a big traveling, a traveling bear, we'll get him jumped within, a mile or so. And then get the scoot on him. And then if it's a small bear, the little tennis shoe, 125 pounders, then we're in for a race.
Them suckers got the Nikes on.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so like a bear is generally gonna be a little bit longer race than a lion most times.
Most of the time. For the most part, you're going to run a bear, depending on the size of the bear, you can walk a big bear for 20 miles and you can run a small bear for 20 miles. And some of them big boys just ain't going to climb a tree no matter what you do. They know they've got the upper hand and they know they're the king of the woods, and they're not going to climb no matter how many dogs you dump on them. There's just a few bears like that. And the small bears, they love to run. They're like, bring it on. I'll take you all day long. So you end up just running all day long. Sometimes you'll put them up at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and that's when you think you win the golden trophy. Is you run a bear for 26 miles and 4 o'clock in the afternoon, you're walking into a tree. That just doesn't happen very often. Usually, if you run a bear till 3 or 4 o'clock in the afternoon, them dogs are looking at you like they're laying in the creek and want to go home.
I give up.
Yeah.
That's cool. You got any? Did y'all catch any good bears this summer?
No, there's enough houndsmen in the area that we run in that we have a lot of small bears, but just not a lot of really big bears. The biggest bear we're going to catch is a 19-inch boar. He might be 275 pounds, 300 pounds, something like that. He's just not and that's probably the biggest bear we'll see all year long. But we've got a lot of bears on on one bait site. You'll have 4 or 5 bears in one night on one bait site, but there won't be anything over 175 pounds.
Wow.
So there's a lot of smaller bears. There's just not a lot of big bears. I mean, if you travel a little bit and get back into some country where the guys haven't access very much, you'll catch a fairly nice bear from time to time.
Those outfitters are basically putting clients on them, and it's a quantity over quality type deal.
Yeah, and he's got that unit. He's got a unit on the backside where we can guide on that backside. But there's just so many houndsmen that have been in there for so many years that they've got a niece or a nephew or a buddy that always wants to shoot a bear. So then they're not really choosy on what they harvest. So you'll end up, our age structure is just down. But
what's the season like for them?
Yeah, it's crazy good here. We start hunting bears on the 15th of April, and we can harvest bears until the end of June. And then until the end of June, and then the month of July, they give us the month of July as the dog training season, to where we can just go in there and run them and take pictures of them during the month of July. And then we pick back up again the 30th of August, and we can harvest bears from the 30th of August till the 1st of October.
Nice.
Yeah, so we have a really nice bear season.
And the lion season is what?
Yep. So the lion season to spot and stock in the state of Idaho right now is year round.
Okay.
They just changed that last year, but we've still got our same dog restrictions on that we had before, so we can only run lions from the 1st of December till the 30th of March. So it's still a pretty good season, but
sounds like you got every month covered.
yeah, that's a good thing about living in Idaho. You can run a hound 365 days a year.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's
we can run coon. We got a pretty good population of coon, just like every other state in the nation. The raccoons don't live in the woods anymore; they move to town.
Mm-hmm. You bet. We all. What's your protocol on like starting a dog? Age and how do you go about it?
Yeah, we'll start with the 3 month, like a 3-month-old pup. Right now, we'll start. Even 6-8 week old, we'll start with the hot dog technique and drag it through the grass, and then we'll move up to a coon hide and drag a coon hide around, and then we'll move up to a live coon and work them on a live coon quite a bit and get a sight race going. And after that, after they're rolling and opening on a coon, then that's a good thing about us. 365 days a year, the mountain lion season. The lion thing is probably one of the best dog trainers you could ever ask for, because a lion's a jumpy little sucker. I mean, if you stand back for 10 minutes, that lion's coming out. So you pretty much you can pretty much get a mountain lion sight race almost every single time.
Yeah, that'll get them fired up.
Oh yeah, they get that all they have to have is just a small amount of chase instinct, and man, them dogs pretty much train themselves. Put them behind an old dog, and if that cat jumps a couple of times, that pup is on fire.
That's the best thing you could possibly do.
Yep. And the same with some of the bears that we catch are kind of them low-hanging orangutan bears where they're hanging off the bottom branch. And there's nothing better for a young dog than watching some orangutan bear hang off the bottom branch and swatting.
Yeah.
Get them dogs fired up, them young dogs fired up. And so, yeah, it's always fun. And we got a small population of bobcats. I'd really love to run bobcats, but the bobcat population up here where we are is it's pretty meek. You got to go to southern Idaho down on the border, or, up in northern Idaho in the dense forest to find a good bobcat track. But we've got a few. We try to turn loose on one a year, but that's between guide and lion clients and staying busy that way. It's tough to turn loose on a bobcat track for us.
It's pretty cool. And so you'll starting those dogs, are you I was talking to a fella today who was calling me, asking me about bears, and I was like, I don't know anything about bears, but I'll lead you in the right direction to somebody that does. but he's in Alberta, and I guess they just opened up a hound season up there, is what he was saying, or it's gonna open, and doing an outfit, and he's looking into starting hounds, and adding that to his little outfit, and he was talking about baiting, and they were able to bait bears and all that stuff. So like, can y'all run like cell cameras and stuff, and be able to strategically come in behind a bait and do that, or?
Yeah, that's what's been best. That's a money saver. If you can put
Yeah,
if you can put a cell camera on a bait and know what caliber of bear you've got coming in there and know what time that bear was there, it sure saves you a lot of fuel.
I bet.
Instead of driving 30 miles to that bait site, you can drive 10 miles to another bait site with the bigger bear on it. Just this last year, they've been doing some investigating, and they've been kicking around some ideas on what they're going to do with, the new technology stuff here in Idaho, whether they're going to ban cell phone cameras, whether they're going to ban, thermals and night vision and stuff like that for predators and stuff like that. They've been mostly trying to enforce it on the ungulate stuff, the deer and the elk and things like that, and kind of leaving the predators alone. But it seems like once they get the toehold in there on outlawing something, then they move to a different species. So yeah, we're able to put a bait out. We're able to put a cell phone camera on that bait, so we know what time he was there, so we know how fresh the track is. A lot of the guys that are here in Southeast Idaho, a lot of them are tree stand archery guys.
Yeah.
So they'll have bait out and stuff like that, but then bears will go nocturnal on them while they're sitting the bait. They just won't come in while them guys are sitting the bait. So those, usually archery hunters will wait till the last week, and then they'll call us on the phone and say, "Hey, these bears all went nocturnal on us. Do you think you can come running down for us?" And there's a few guys that'll do that for a few of the archery hunters around.
That's pretty cool. Like, I mean, but they can't get it done, so they got to call in the men with the dogs to get it done.
That's right. That's right. Send in reinforcements. But that's good. Yeah, I've talked to a few of those guys up in Alberta, and they're very excited about that new bear hunt that they've got going on up there. I think that's gonna be fun for those guys. They haven't been able to hunt Alberta with dogs for a long time.
Well, that sounds. You hear about hound stuff getting taken from all of us, and I think of Canada, and I don't think of them giving back any kind of hound hunt or hunting in general rights back. So I don't know what happened up there, but it sounds like a pretty good deal.
Yeah. And it's just like anywhere else. Anywhere else in the nation, if you're not asking for more, somebody else is asking for less.
Yep.
It's just the way it is. If you're not in there standing at the toes of the fish and game, just screaming about something else you want to hunt, somebody else is standing at his back chirping that they want to take it away. So there's a pretty good jack of us in Idaho that are really, really have a really good rapport with the fish and game here in state. And we're always over there to Boise chirping about stuff that's going on. And we've got a full-time lobbyist in Boise that hangs out the legislator and lets us know if there's any fish and game related things that come across the floor. So it's been, yeah, we try to keep ourselves in tune with what's going on statewide. So in case some guys decide to want to, come in and start taking stuff away from us, at least we have a heads up. And like, it's just like watching you guys' stuff on social media. You sit there and complain about social media and how terrible it is and how it's the devil or whatever. But you watch and see what happens when some anti-hunting thing comes up, how fast we can spread the word and be able to get some financial support for some of those guys that are having a battle. We can dump some money from our hound club. We can dump some money into a different hound club in a different state. We did it last year with Colorado when they went through all that crap. So we try to help those guys along, and they do the same for us. And the social media aspect of things and trying to spread the word, it's just been a huge, huge tool for us.
Yeah, that bill in Colorado was wild to see the outreach and the stuff that I mean I felt like it was a month or whatever long where it was like every single outlet you could find that had anything to do with dogs was, preaching the Colorado deal, and it was so cool to see, and I'm glad it worked because it kind of gives us hope for, if stuff like that happens again, that we can all get together and make stuff happen. So that was pretty refreshing to see.
Yeah, yeah, because it only takes one bad governor, one bad legislator, one bad guy that's in the government to just try to push something like that through, which is, there's absolutely no biology to it whatsoever. It's just some guy trying to force his agenda on everybody else. The same. That's why Utah doesn't have any mountain lions left. This one guy decided that'd be a really good idea to open up the state of Utah 365 days a year to as many mountain lions as you can kill. And it's crazy.
Wow.
It's crazy what they can do to a population of mountain lions, just opening it up like that. And it's just one guy just got a wild hair and pushed it through as quick as he could, and them guys didn't even have a chance to react.
That's crazy how one person or even just a small group of people can influence the whole daggum state.
Yeah, it's nuts how fast and how quick it works. When they want it to work that quick and they try to backdoor it, it's funny how fast it'll push through without you even knowing it.
Yeah. It gets through very quick.
Yeah. That's nice. That's what's nice about having that lobbyist in Boise for us, is because we usually hear about it the second anything comes across the floor, fish and game related. I mean, he's on the phone, and it's way nice that way. And I wish Utah would have had something like that in place, but they heard about it way quick. But it had enough nails and enough claws to it to where those guys, I don't think they had a chance. There was just too much money behind that being pushed through there.
Yeah, that's wild. I don't know. We we haven't had a whole lot of issues down here. They did try to, but like in Texas, mountain lions are around, right? They're not like, up north or anything. But like West Texas has a decent population. South Texas has some. Like occasionally there's some through where I'm at in North Texas. But they're basically, you can kill as many however you want kind of deal. There's no law, right? So like last year, there was some group in Austin that tried to push, the ban of mountain lion hunting, and trying to give this little spiel about big cat this, and and they had that one of those, that Carol Baskins lady off of that Tiger King show, and they had all kinds of shit like trying to lobby for it, and it was shut down pretty quick. It kind of had me worried though, which it wouldn't affect me any, but I don't want them taken away from any of us. Like I know a couple guys out West Texas that they do pretty good on lines, from time to time, and New Mexico too. It's right there on the border, and I mean it's just, and there a lot of their stuff is like farmers calling them and coming and doing like a nuisance type deal, which, I mean, I guess there's probably a bigger population over there than I know about, but it was funny to see that, and I was like, oh no, here we go, and then it wasn't. I don't know the exact details, but it wasn't it wasn't talked about for very long, and then it was squashed. Thank God.
Yeah, a lot of that dry ground stuff, and you can do that. I mean, you can open it up quite a bit. There's a lot of places down south, southern Nevada, Arizona, and stuff like that, where you can have a pretty good liberal lion population. Because unless you know what you're doing, you're not going to harvest a lot of cats.
Right.
You gotta have a pretty good fresh track and a lot of ambition to go out there and push that in the dirt to where you can get that cat caught. And there's a lot of guys that do really well at it, but there's a lot of guys that are really super ambitious and have some really good, crazy good dogs.
Yeah.
Those dogs that have been bred for generations to push that dirt and to be able to work alongside a guy on a mule for a couple days on end. There's some guys that do really well at it. So, but there's also a guy like me. If I was to move to Arizona or Nevada like that, my dogs would look at me like I was stupid. You know, they're like, "What are you trying to get me to run here?" You know, 90% of what we do is either a hot bear track or it's a lion track in the snow that's 3 days old. And my dogs push it really well. But if I took them down there in the dirt alongside of some of those guys, you know, those guys would laugh me right out of the state. They're like, what are you bringing that dog down here for? He doesn't know what the heck he's doing, you know.
Yeah.
But there's, I mean, and you can have those liberal lion quotas. You know, you can have to where you can have it open year round, or you know, and you're probably not going to hurt too much stuff because there's just not a lot of guys with the ambition to go out there and do it, or the dogs with the knowledge to go out there and do it. So, but up here, I mean, just like Utah, the first place they kill all the cats is where the snow is, right?
Yeah.
So you got up here around northern Utah where the snow gets deep and you can't go in there and cut a lion track anymore because those guys have put the whoop on them so bad. And now, you know, they're feeding over into Nevada. The guys in Nevada are up in arms because they don't want all those guys from Utah and Idaho going in at Nevada after we run out of lions or Utah runs out of lions. They don't want Nevada flooded with a bunch of out-of-staters killing their cats. So yeah, it's crazy because the, the the first place you have a good lion population is where it's dry. Wherever the lion population is hurting is usually where there's either a gigantic bedroom for those lions to live in, to where you can't get in and access them, or it's dry ground.
Hmm.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. Definitely.
So, um, when you're up there and you're working on a lion track or whatever, will you have, like, say you have a client, will you have them with you, or will you tree that sucker and then call them in? How does that work?
Yeah, it's illegal to hold it until they get there, so they have to be
Okay,
there the whole time. They
I
have
got
to be
you.
there the whole time. For the
That's
most,
why you're doing so much studying beforehand and
yeah,
and doing a lot of scouting beforehand to make that more doable.
yep, yep. And it's a lot more enjoyable for the hunter too. You know,
Oh,
to
I bet.
be able to see the whole thing. If you was just going to catch it and let him shoot out of a tree after it'd been caught and held, I mean, there's just no fun in that whatsoever. That guy
Oh, there's
wants the
guys that
full
would pay to
experience.
do it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
A
Oh, heck
lazy
yeah.
fact.
Oh,
Oh
yeah,
yeah.
for sure. Yeah. But you throw a couple Texas boys on a snow machine and make them ride for 25 miles on a snow machine,
Oh
and
yeah.
then have them crank the dogs down loose on a 2-day-old lion track and watch the whole process going down.
Oh
By the
man.
time those guys peel their frozen ass off the top of the snow machine, they got a smile on their face.
Yeah.
You know, they got the whole experience. And it's fun to watch some of them guys that have just never got to do any of that stuff. You know, that
That would be
have
me.
Yeah.
never
That's
stomped around in the
us.
snow.
It sounds like a dream.
Yeah, it is a good time. It's so much fun. A lot of the guys we take are local guys, so we'll take in-state Idaho guys, and which makes it so much nicer. They're kind of on call, you know. They're like, oh, they'll call and say, "What have you found?" And we're like, "Oh, we got a lion track, but we're, you know, a week behind him. You know, we've traveled him 26 miles in the last day, so hopefully we can get him rounded up and he'll stay in our unit." And so you know, and just to have those guys on call. Okay, we're 3 days behind him. You probably ought to get headed this way. We might be able to catch him in a day or two or a week. And they get
That's
coming.
awesome.
Yeah, it's. I mean, they are. You can't. That's what's the best part about running what we do is you know, those cats can travel 25 miles, and it's so much fun to watch what them cats are doing in 25 miles. You know, they'll stop and kill an elk, and they'll bury the damn thing, and they won't even eat 2 bites out of it, and they'll travel another 25 miles, and then the next thing you know, you're on the back track. He's headed back the same way. He's going to go feed. He checked everything out that he wants to check out, and he's going to go eat on that elk and live on that elk for a week now. Yeah, yeah, fun to watch. Fun to get to interact with them cats because they do some crazy things. If you PS a bunch of them cats up in in Yellowstone, and it was interesting to see those cats dive from some of the craziest, stupidest things you'd ever imagine. You know, one cat drowned in Yellowstone Lake. One cat drowned in the Yellowstone River. One cat had a boulder roll over on its leg and trapped it, and it starved to death.
Oh my.
Yeah, it's just, and it's crazy. This stuff that will happen to a cat. Just, you know, most of the time you think, well, it's all the houndsmen and it's all the guys out there killing lions and stuff, but just the regular mortality of a cat, some of the stuff they die from is kind of crazy to watch. You know, they take. We had a Tom a couple of years ago. We turned loose on him, and we was probably 2 days behind him. And by the time we caught up to him, we got to see we was in about 4 feet of snow, and you could see where that big Tom would put the teepee creep on a big old 6-point bull elk. And man,
Oh,
you could
wow.
see right where he hit him. Here's all this elk hair flying everywhere, and all you see is a big old whack mark in the snow every 20, 30 feet. And then you see him slide down, there's this big old slide mark going down the canyon, and down at the bottom of the canyon, here's this big old pile of snow with a 6-point bullhorn poking up out of the snow. And you're just like, man, if I would have had that on video, that would have been something.
Crazy the stories you can just tell by just looking at this, like just in the snow, just the tracks
Just
and
in the
stuff.
snow. Yep. Yep. And then we sat there and watched that. We sat there and looked at that elk and all the big mayhem in the snow that had went on. We're standing there looking at this 6-point bull in the snow, and like 50 yards away, that cat's laying in a big old willow blowdown. And we had no idea.
Full as a tick.
Yeah.
It's wild.
Yeah.
Well, what's that? The 12-year-old female you got? What's her name?
So she's Torch. Yep, she's a little red plot dog cross. I've had her. Yeah, she got given to me as a puppy when she was like 6 weeks old, and yeah, she's just not much. She got rolled by a few bears a few times, so she kind of quit running bears on me. But she's a nice little coon dog, and she's a super little lion dog. She's just quiet. You'll turn her loose all by herself, and she won't say a peep until that cat's in the tree. So she'll be right up its butt. She'll be working that track. She'll work a day-old track, and she'll be right up its butt before that cat even knows she's there. Even when she's open, and she's one of those little quiet-mouthed squealy dogs.
Mm-hmm.
So you can't hear her. If she's a half-mile away in the timber, you can't hear her. But yeah,
She likes doing it herself. She don't need any help. She don't want anybody there. She can just go do her own thing.
Yeah, she can just go do her own thing. She's not the most rock solid tree dog I've ever owned. She's one of them tree circlers.
Yeah.
She'll put a lion up or something, and her tree switch on the GPS won't go off for an hour because she'll circle the tree for an hour just giving it the death stare.
Yeah.
She won't sit down and lock down. But she's a nice little dog. I don't know why I keep her around. There's been a few guys that have tried to pick her up, and there's a couple of new guys that have come along that I'm just like, I ought to just give that old dog to one of those new guys that are coming up, because I don't need her, but she's just been around so long that I can't get rid of her.
Oh, she's earned her keep.
Yeah, she's earned her keep. She's a good little dog. She's been in a willow blowdown or two with the lion, and she's got a couple of split ears, and yeah, she's kind of.
Bet she's got some. I bet you got some stories about her.
That was my next question. You got any memorable lion trees that she's been a part of?
Oh yeah, we caught a big old dude. We caught a big old dude. He was riding about 46, come across the road, and what the crap was the story there? Anyway, I went up. I'd been up there lion hunting, and I'd lost the pistol. I'd lost my pistol out of my pack, and we went up there to look for my pistol. And anyway, just happened to come across. Here's this big old Tom come striding. I'm like, well, I don't care about the pistol anymore. Let's get this dude caught. So we cranked loose on him, and it was her and an old black and tan male dog of mine, and we cranked him loose on that Tom track, and they took him about 13 miles and finally put him up on top, and got to where we had to snowshoe in about a half mile to get into the tree. And A neighbor of mine wanted to kill the cat. He'd been hunting with me for a couple years, and I said, I'm not going to let you kill just any cat. We'll catch you a nice one. So anyway, we walked in the tree, and here's this big old dude. And I said, well, what are you shooting? He's like, well, I'm shooting a 9mm. And I don't think he'd shot that pistol for 20 years because he started opening fire on this thing. And I think the last shell in the 15-round clip broke its shoulder, and it fell out of the tree. And holy crap! Then shit hit the fan. You know, them two dogs. I had them tied back, and anyway, so I had to sit there. I sat there for probably an hour while he ran back to the truck and got his 270 out of the pickup.
Oh no!
I'm like, dude, what is going on? And so he took off anyway. So she ended up they ended up getting in a pretty good scrap on the ground when it hit the ground. And yeah, the old black and tan dog, he lost an eye. And then she got an ear split, and oh, it was a mess. I didn't have a dog leash with me. I had her tied up with my damn belt. I looked like
It's always those last second hunts where you end up a mile away with no leash, no gun.
Yeah, we was going up there to go look for a pistol. My pistol, you know. Anyway, we ended up getting the Tom killed up, and anyway, I took the metal detector and went and found my pistol. It was laying out in the sagebrush in the middle of nowhere. Oh yeah. Yeah, she's been a fun little dog. She has been in a lot more scrapes than what I've had in the past. Yeah, we end up catching some. I've got some crazy awesome video footage of her right in the face of cats in the rocks, clipped up and in holes. And yeah, we have an adventure every once in a while that just sticks right in the back of your memory.
Yeah. I've seen a couple of your videos where they're in you're in a den with a female lion and some cubs or something. I was like, you're 5 feet away from her.
Yeah, I mean, we do. We end up in a lot more dens. And I mean, we've got pine trees. The pine trees are thicker than thieves, you know, but for some reason, them cats just love to den up. Them cats love the rocks and they love to den up. And, you know, you'll have 700, you'll have a whole forest of trees and you catch in the rocks. I'm like, why can't you just climb a tree? Why you got to go in the damn rocks?
Will you ever lose them in there? Like if they get into somewhere where you can't even get to?
No, not for the most part. Usually, especially the dog size that we're running, even that old red dog, she's only about 40 pounds, 45 pounds.
Yeah.
So anywhere 180-pound Tom can get, she can get.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah, for the most part, we can call them back out if they get in a pickle. You know, they'll get pushing on each other. You know, if you got 6 dogs and you got the front dog in there as far as they can go inside that den, you'll get them younger dogs pushing on the back and, you know, jam one of them older dogs right in that cat's grill. And then, you know,
I can only imagine.
Yeah, you're stapling up dogs, you know, for a little bit, but yeah, it gets a little western in there from time to time, you know, grabbing tails and grabbing back legs and towing dogs out. But for the most part, they're pretty good about, you know, being able to call out of a hole like that. But I don't know. You'll still have some adventures to where you get a story for the rest of your life because stupid crap happens.
I can only imagine. Have you ever lost any dogs to lions?
Just one. We ended up losing one a couple of years ago. We got in a big old willow blowdown, and the same thing. That the younger dogs just kept pushing that older dog to the front, to the front, to the front, and then pretty quick. I mean, and the cat just got a hold of her just right, where you know it was just game over right quick. And we didn't even know what had happened because they got in that willow blowdown, and then we got pushing the cat out of the willow blowdown, and the cat blew out of there and ended up shooting up a cottonwood tree. So we're just sitting there at the tree, and all the other dogs are treeing. And I'm like, well, we're missing our old red tick dog. And anyway, we backtracked in there, and sure as crap, there she is laying in that willow blowdown. So you know, it happens, and you know, it's heartbreaking. It's crap because that was a sweet little dog, but it happens. That's just one of the things. It doesn't happen very often. I think that's only the first dog we've ever lost to a lion like that. You know, we lost one old dog off a cliff a few years ago. We had a big old tom bait up on the big old, you know, the top of a cliff top, and the cat jumped off the cliff and went down on a ledge just barely like 8 feet down. But the older dog, he thought that cat had blown clear off the top of the cliff, so shit, he blew off. And man,
God almighty.
yeah, that was the end of that dog. I mean, he just went right off that 200-foot cliff. And anyway, it was everything. I mean, there's just stuff like that happens all the time. I mean, the same thing can happen if you're out walking your dog.
Oh yeah.
You know, just not paying attention. So, but not very often. We don't have that happen very often. We had a big old sow bear a few years ago. We'd turn loose, 6, 7 dogs off a bait, and that big old sow, she'd run down the dogs, and she just she didn't mince any words. She knew, them dogs knew that they was going to get the thunder the second they caught up to her. Like, oh, they probably had in their mind, they're like, oh hell, not this bear again. They wanted to go back to the truck. If she was nasty, she was just a fighting nasty old bag.
So would she ever tree, or she just walk and bay?
Yeah, she'd tree. She had tree. Most of the time, she was a really good mom. She usually had 2 or 3 cubs with her, but she'd back up at the base of the tree before she ever climbed. Of course, she'd have to back up to the base of the tree. She'd wait for them dogs to come in, get within 20 yards, and man, she'd just single out one dog, and she'd run him down, and it looked like, WWE out there. She just knock the wind out of him and roll him around a few times, and then she'd go back up against the tree, and then she'd pick out the next dog, and pretty quick. And if enough of them come in at the same time, then she'd shoot up and she'd sit 5, 6 feet off the ground and wait for us to come in to come gather up the dogs and go home. And it seemed like she did it every time. You'd go home and staple up a hind end or something where somebody got a claw or something like that. But yeah, she was mean. She was in that. She ruined a couple. That old red dog. She's the one that ruined that old red dog. She run her down 4 or 5 times, and finally she's like, I'm not running a bear anymore.
I like lions better.
Yeah, I have a little walker dog. She done the same thing about 3 years in a row. She done the same thing to this little walker dog. So I turned that little walker dog loose at the bait, and if that dog went into the bait and then come back to the truck, I'd know I have a smoking hot track.
Because she knew it was too close. It was close.
Like, bullshit! I know that bear's right there. I'm going back.
She's like, hell no, I'm not getting my ass to that.
I'm like, I'm gonna check and see how fresh this track is. I'd turn her loose, and if she come back, I'm like, oh, I got a smoking hot track.
Put her up and turn the rest of them loose.
Yeah, put her back in the box and crank them down, and man, they'd go in there and just light up the world.
What's the biggest bear that you guys have been on? Yeah,
so we'll, man, I don't know. It's skull wise. Well, we've caught some, really borderline 21-inch bears, 20 and 13/16.
Mm-hmm.
Some, big skull bears. The bears. It's not like back in North Carolina where they get them coastal bears that are 700 pounds. This is Idaho. This is high desert. So
yeah, that's why I was asking. Yeah, we went and interviewed some guys a few weeks ago, and I think before we had got there, a couple of days or the week before we had got there, they caught a 536, and and they had a 510. No, it was a 564, and then they had a 510 the week before that, and several 300s, and they had a 334 treed when we were there. And that's good. That's big. That's a big bear to me.
Yeah, they were big bears. They were big bodied bears.
Mm-hmm.
Their food source back there is better, I think. We live in the high desert of Idaho, so we're running black bears through sagebrush.
Yeah, I got you.
So these bears are eating good, but they're still going to top out at 475 pounds. Maybe a big bear here. I can't imagine a bear being 475 pounds here. 350, 400 pound bear back here. I mean, there's a few that'll top that for sure, but it's not like North Carolina. It's not like the coastal black bears that are eating muscle and get that big old sloppy fat.
And their seasons are a lot. I think their seasons are more restricted as well, or they don't have as long. Because we went to South Georgia, and they only have 4 weekends that they can hunt, actual kill season. And, they have a training season But as far as actual being able to tag a bear, you have the last 2 weeks in September and the first 2 weeks in October. And you can only hunt Thursday, Friday, and Saturday of those weeks.
Oh, yeah. There's some crazy restricted states back there back east. I know Wisconsin. There's a lot of guys in Wisconsin that put in for 20 years and never draw.
That's crazy.
Oh,
Yeah, there's as far as hunting wise. I mean, we live in a really good spot to hunt bears. But there you again. I mean, we're never going to kill that 700 pounder. But back there, they're going to kill a 700 pounder because they've got some pretty restricted seasons, and
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they're going to kill some nice bears, which is nice.
Yeah, as
There
far
was
as I know, just out of those couple of camps that are in that one general area, and we don't know everybody down there by any means. It's like an 8-hour drive from where we live. But I know of 4 that was over 500 pounds that during that little bit of a season. And they're literally all hunting the same areas. It's one big general location, and that's where everybody's hunting. This is in like the Okefenokee Swamp. It's pretty wild.
Yeah, that'd be fun just to go back there and see some of that stuff. I mean, it's wet and it's ferny, and
Mm-hmm.
some of that stuff is just crazy. I've got there's a lot of guys that'll hit that dog training season back in Wisconsin from Idaho. They'll drive back there and hunt that dog training season. And man, some of the videos and stuff they got coming back from there's a lot of water. There's a lot of water. There's a lot of cornfields.
Mm-hmm.
So those guys go back there and like, dude, you gotta go back there. There's a lot of bear. But there again, I mean, the last several years, the wolves have got crazy, crazy terrible back there too. But they'll catch some decent bears back there in Wisconsin and in them swamps and crap like that. But it's just to hunt someplace different. I don't travel much because everything that I got is right here. But there's a lot of the guys that'll do that. They'll travel 15 hours to go back and hunt somewhere like that, and just to experience something different, a little bit better bear population, and a little bit, hunt the swamps and hunt the cornfields and stuff like that. Which is, yeah,
Gotcha.
I mean, it'd be fun. It's fun to watch some of their video footage and see some of their pictures when they come home.
I got you.
I think I like being able to hunt more longer
Yeah.
season than I would. You know what I mean? It's like me with the deer tracking deal. Like I got a couple months, every year. It's basically October, November, December, and the rest of the year we're like, well, I mean, we get to go run pigs, so we got something to run year round. But it's like the deer dogs, they're over here just like, oh gosh, damn, put us on a pig or anything. We're bored out of our minds.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's how my dogs are in November. November's our dead month because the only thing we got is raccoon, and I'm not a big ambitious
That's got to
raccoon
be
hunter.
boring compared to a bear.
Yeah. So you're running raccoon in November, and right now my dogs are looking at me like you're the stupidest man that ever walked the planet.
You want me to mess with this little thing?
I've been sitting for 30 days, and you're hunting me on a raccoon. Thanks, bud.
My old dog does that to me. We'll go on a track, and I can almost, not always, but a lot of times I can tell we'll get there and we'll dump on it, and he'll go 100 yards in and then come back and look at me, and I'm like, come on, man, we got to at least like try. Like I know this deer's not dead, and I know you don't want to jack with it, but I need you to like show this hunter that we're not complete idiots and that you hunt, even though he's looking at me like I'm the idiot. It's like we had one the other day, and the guy was like, man, I don't know where I hit him, blah 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 blah. And I said, well, all right, you got your arrow, and yeah, it had blood on it, but it also had fat on it, which for me, if you got fat on an arrow, it's usually brisket, like down low, or sometimes you get some in the back strap. And then there is like fat up in the top of the guts on some of these deer. It's like, I don't know what you call it, like looks like marshmallows up in there. But sometimes you can get fat there, but usually your arrow kind of smells like gut or something like that. But anyways, this deer didn't look good arrow. And then he went and checked his camera. He said, "Oh man, he just came by my trail camera on the other side of the property." And then he looks at it and he shot him right through the neck, like passed through, all the way through. And he's walking by with his mouth open, which I get. Like you just got a hole through your neck. And he's like, "Man, he's gonna die." And I was like, I mean, from my experience, like the deer that get shot in the neck is like, if you don't hit the jugular or some artery in there, you're not gonna kill him. It's just meat, You either drop them like a spinal shot, or you hit an artery where it's Ray Charles could follow the blood trail.
Mhm.
And I mean, and they might go 700-800 yards, but they'll be bleeding the entire way. Like you can't pour it out fast enough. I mean, it's pretty incredible when it hits one of those arteries. But the other day we went and he showed me that picture. He said, "Well, man, will you just come try it?" And I'm like, "I'm telling you, like, there's very little odds." I said, he's like, "Oh, you look at him, he's sick in the video." I said, "I don't give a shit how sick he looks in that video. When this dog gets on his ass, he's gonna wake up and get out of the country. I can almost guarantee you." And he was like, "Well, let's try." I was like, "All right." Well, it was one of those deals. I dropped the dog. He goes 100 yards down the track and comes back, and I'm like, "God dang it! Come on, Huck. Like I know but let's go jump him and at least run him, and let's just make sure, like let's run him and see." Well, he gets up in there, and I'm probably 100 yards away down below him, and he works his way in there, and then I hear a blow, like a deer blowing. And in all my experience, I don't think that I've ever caught a deer that blew at us or blew at the
Mhm.
dog.
Mhm.
Like I don't. Maybe I have and I didn't know it or whatever, but I don't feel like I ever correlate a blowing deer with a deer that we're gonna catch. And that deer blew, and I'm assuming it was him. I mean, we went up there and there was a bed, and he didn't even chase him. I was like, "What are you? What? Like you're not even gonna try?" The day before that, we ran a what I assumed was a brisket shot type deer, and he ran him a mile and 1.71 miles, like just ran him, which is a long race for a deer dog in my where I'm at. And that sucker got up and ran, and he didn't even chase it. And I was looking, the guy was like, "Well, what the hell?" And I said, "Man, I'm telling you right now, if that dog doesn't want to race that deer, there's got to be a reason why. I don't know why, but I'm telling you, that old man knows what's up." I was like, "I'll
Mhm.
tell you right now, he didn't want to take the track in the first place." It's like, but they've got this. He's got like a sixth sense on that stuff, and it's like, I wish if I could show up for somebody and then turn around in 5 minutes and leave, I would, because I can almost see it when he has that look on his face. Because usually he hits a trail, he's not coming back until he's done. You know what I mean? You might catch up with him, and he's working the trail out hard, and he's making laps trying to figure it out. But rarely does he run down and then come back to you and look at you. And when he does that, you might as well just load him up, because it's never a thing. But
Yeah, so much fun. Them old dogs just know. You know what I mean? They're like I used to have an old black and tan dog, and that's how he was. I mean, he'd get on a running bear like that, and pretty quick the younger dogs are like, let's go, we can catch this son of a bitch. And then the old dog, next thing you know, he's standing back at the truck, like, what's going on, bud? And he's like, you can see it in his face. They're like, we're never gonna
yep,
catch that son of a bitch. What are we doing?
yep. Why are we here?
That bear is gonna go until we're dead. Just, I'm giving up. I'm giving up now. But let them young dogs push that track. I'm gonna go back to the truck.
Get him legged up while he's sitting back with the
Mhm.
knowledge at the truck.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's definitely my Huck dog now. I've really seen it this year. He like there when he was 4 and 5, 6 years old. I mean, we were if it was leaving a trail, he was gonna go find it. Now there was some that we wouldn't, but I mean it could be you could have shot his tail off and he was gonna go find that sucker and run the fire out of it to prove it. You know. But now it seems like this year, especially, I've noticed where he's like, nah, I'm good. And it's like, it's hard to tell a hunter that they think they killed the deer, oh, he's dead. There's no way he's not dead. And then like, well, Huck's saying otherwise. I don't know what to tell you, but we'll push on down this track to appease you. But yeah, I don't know
Yeah,
what to do with that sucker. He's getting more ornery the older he gets.
yeah, so much fun. It's so much fun to watch them old dogs, especially on bears. Them old dogs and bears is just you can tell exactly what's going on. There's a lot of guys that'll tell you, yeah, my old dog goes out there and he runs a backtrack for the first quarter mile. And
Uh-huh.
I'm like, well, what and they're like, oh yeah, he'll do it on purpose. The little bastard, he'll go out there and he'll run a backtrack for the first quarter mile, and he'll suck all them young dogs to him. And them young
Uh-huh.
dogs run a backtrack. He'll go back to the bait, start it the right way, so he's got a half-mile head start on them damn young
Oh, you just explained my hug dog.
dogs. Yeah, yeah, they'll do the
Too
same. Or else
funny.
they'll go until the young dogs catch up to him, and then he'll go find a different bear. He's like, well, these guys will outrun me all day long. I'm gonna go find a different bear. The old dog, he'll go catch his own bear, and then you walk into a bunch of young dogs that have got a running some bitch, and he'll catch up
Yeah.
to the old dog. He'll go catch a boar or a sow by himself, and because he can't keep up with the younger dogs anymore, so he'll go do his own thing.
That's funny. This is the first dog where I've ever really just like finished out where I'm seeing the tail end of his reign, and it's just interesting to watch the difference. Like I can look at the GPS or whatever, and I can pretty much tell you what he's doing. I don't, on there just by his track. And I've got this younger dog that he's 2, and he's seen a handful, and he's getting going. He's found me a handful of deer this year, but I cannot tell what the shit he's doing when I'm looking at that damn garment. I'm like, I don't even want to look at it. It's so hard. I'm just like, this is driving me nuts. Like he'll drift around and he'll be going down the trail, but he'll be drifting 15 yards off each side of it. And just kind of he doesn't bury his nose in the least. He just kind of gets about 4 inches off the ground and just rolls, which I think to me is usually a younger dog type scenario where he's trying to just haul ass as fast as he can, whereas an old dog will sit there and pick it apart and never make a loss. He's making loss after loss after loss, but still going in the general direction. But by God, it is so hard to watch on there. I have to put that thing on my belt and not look at it because it's aggravating as all get out. But I'm trying to learn him to where I can be like, okay, yeah, this is what I think he's doing. But it's funny trying to figure out a different dog and basically starting over with one. It's
Yeah, and
interesting.
it makes you wonder if you're ever going to put it together. I got a little walker. I got a
Oh,
little walker female. She's about 18 months old. And same thing. You'll watch her on a bear race, and she's just like that. She's 20 yards off the track, and she's out there looping alongside the track. She's going the general direction, but she does 15 loops before she heads that way. And
uh-huh.
you're looking at the GPS, and you don't know whether to tone her or walk out there and punch her in the ear.
Yeah.
Just frustrating as shit. So you sit there and watch that GPS, and you're like, well. And my boy's
Uh,
really frustrated. He's used to a track straddler like the old dogs. They jump on the track and they go straight and they stay on the damn track. And she's out there
right.
doing these curlicues off the side of the track. He's like, what the hell's she doing over there? I'm like, I don't know what she's doing. Whatever she's doing. She makes it to the tree. She's just a half hour behind everybody else. And maybe one day she'll put it together. Hell, I don't know.
Yeah, that's exactly where I'm at. It's been interesting. We went on some guys that shot a doe, and he shot high and didn't break the back, but I call it a spinal shock or a back whack. If it can be with a gun or a bow, like you can hit a deer right below the spine or through it or through that rib area and stun them, and they roll around and kicking and stuff. But then 5 minutes later, they might get up and roll out, right? And then
Mm-hmm.
they're normally fine. Well, this guy was smart. He did that. The deer fell. Well, he got out of the blind and walked up and shot her. Well, she was laying on her side. So his entry was right behind the shoulder, but the exit was out the top of the back, right? Because she was laying on her side. Well, she got up and hauled ass. And he's like, what in the world is going on? He's like, I think I smoked her, and I said, well, we'll figure it out, and we got 50 yards on the trail, and you could see lung blood, or it looked like blood she was coughing out of her mouth, which, filling up one of her lungs and coughing it out. And I said, well, I think we're all right. We'll see what and that dog's doing his thing where he's doing his circles and corkscrews and shit all throughout there. And I'm just like, oh, dear God, please just, figure this out. Well, he pulls probably 400, and we're kind of easing up. Like I'll try my best not to just ride my dog's ass on these trails, but sometimes they're so slow, you're just kind of slowly walking, and you're talking to the hunters, trying to talk them off the ledge because they're ready to commit suicide about the deer that they shanked. And and we'll get up in there, and he ended up. I could tell he was getting kind of what I call birdie deery, where he's like head up, and he's like frantically running around, a little bit. Well, we got to some tall stuff, and he kind of broke over about 80 yards in this tall stuff, and I couldn't really, we weren't seeing anything on the ground, but I'm just trusting the dog, and he made a loop over there in this plum thicket. And I'm talking to them like, yeah, we think this. I look over, and this deer's running right at us. And I'm like, well, it's her. She had blood around her nose when she come by. And here he comes, just trying to jump through the tall grass behind her. And she ran right by us 100 miles an hour, but I could tell, she's obviously blowing blood out of her mouth. So we're like, something, we're hit mortally here. But this is 5 hours after she was shot. And anyways, he ran her down, and finally got her caught probably 400 or 500 yards later, and basically had her bait up, and we were able to finish her off. But those guys were like, what just happened? I was like, well, you shot one lung, and these deer, like a lot of times I'll notice, like if you get a pinhole through a lung, they'll live. I think the angle of this shot probably just filleted that whole lung open. And, she was just using one lung. And anyways, they were like, that was the wildest shit I've ever seen in my life. And I'm like, that was a puppy being a puppy. That was just, I mean, not that we got lucky. Like he nailed it. He did what he was supposed to do. But I was like, we were pretty fortunate that worked out the way it did, because half the time I don't know what the shit he's doing, but he kind of proved himself on that one and gave me a little hope. And he's freaking 2 years old, and ought to be doing it by now. And it's probably more or less my fault for not just believing in him and hammering down on him solo. But a lot of times we on these tracks, I'm like, I've got the dog in the hole that I know is going to do the job, and I got the puppy that may or may not do the job. And you got a guy pays $10,000 to hunt a place, and he's got a 160-inch deer. Like, I feel kind of stupid putting a puppy on their deer. You know what I mean? So it's the struggle training the young dogs for me.
Oh yeah.
I mean, you got clients, you got to produce, right? I mean, you don't want to set a 1-year-old down on a guy that's paying, I don't know what a hunt is for you, but it's hard to justify putting down a half-started dog on something you're getting paid for. I imagine.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you got a guy standing there looking at you. You don't look like an idiot.
Yeah.
He just paid big money to come in there and kill a cat, a trophy-sized cat, and you don't want. I mean, there are times. I mean, there's stupid shit that happens in the middle. You'll have a cat swim a river. You'll have cats get in the rocks, or they're having to go back to dry grounding and get on the frost, and a lot of the time we'll get into what they call snow drift, right? You get into those heavy pines, and in the middle of the day that hits 35 degrees, and all that snow starts melting out of them trees, and the dog won't be able to see a track anymore because that water's filling the track. So you'll get into snow drift, and them dogs have a hell of a time, especially if it's a 2-day-old track. You'll get into that snow drift. A lot of times the client will look at you like, you guys are idiots. What's going on?
Why? Yeah.
Why is this being so hard? You're supposed to be professionals, and you're trying to look as professional as you possibly can. And most of the time, them old dogs will push through something like that and do a nice job, but still, there's times where you look like an idiot. There's no doubt. You get on a cat that swims the river, and then it takes you 15 miles to go around and find a way to get back across the river to where you can turn loose back on the other side. And there's just so many different stuff that's totally out of your control, but still makes you look like an idiot.
Yeah. And it's hard to, if you had another houndsman there, it would be hard to explain. But when you got somebody there that doesn't know anything about it, they think you're retarded, and you're like, this is half the game. Is this right here?
Yep. But it is. I mean, it's just like that. It's all part of the experience. Those guys come in, and if it was just, I mean, there's a lot of those big lazy guys that want that big pop up. Hey, let's be done in 15 minutes. I want to go home. But for the most part, the guys that pay that much money and come in for a lion hunt, they're looking for the experience. They're looking for the adventure and stuff. And so even the stupidity of some of the stuff that you go through, that you get frustrated with the young dogs, you're just feel like, well, it makes a longer adventure, I guess. Makes them feel like they get the money worth.
Have you ever had it to where you had somebody there that really, like you said, they didn't understand the dog situation and all that, but you had a young dog that really blew it out of the water, and they were still like, just looking like the dog might not produce nothing. For instance, we had when Sebastian was here, we had two very young dogs. One of them had only been out just a handful of times, and the other one, I've hunted him for, both of them are less than 2 years old. And we dry casted these dogs into nothing. Well, my old dogs came back. Well, these young dogs, they stayed out for 6 hours, and I don't know how many miles. Like, I mean, it was miles and miles. And when the whole thing was done, the guy, this was his very first time he had ever ran dogs here in the U.S. He had went with the Hadzabe tribe in Africa. And so he was like, he said, he still didn't know if that was good or not. He's like, I just don't understand, what's good and what's not, because he just didn't know. I was like, well, I'm gonna be honest with you, like, that's phenomenal, because usually we're fighting with these young dogs, trying to keep them from shitting in the box or starting a fight or tearing something up or just laying down, or doing everything wrong. I said, these dogs did everything above and beyond. Like you said, if another houndsman were there, they would have been like, hey, sell me them dogs, man. Like, and I sat there, dude, I was like so proud. I was like, dang, look at him go. And then we were talking about it on the podcast, and he was like, well, I just don't know if there's like, if that's really good or not. I was like, I mean, there was nothing there for him to run. I was like, damn, I don't want to be a jerk, but at the same time, I was like, it kind of kicked me in the nuts.
Yeah, that's a kick in the nuts for sure.
But he didn't mean anything by it. He just absolutely didn't know. He's ignorant to the situation. And that's what I told him. I was like, I said, you need to go with several people and see how, the game that they're playing or the game that they're hunting, and see how they all hunt, and you'll get a better feel for what's good and what's not. I just thought it was kind of funny. I was like, damn.
Yeah, when shit like that usually happens to me, I'm sitting there going, I'm like, how the hell did we pull that out of our ass? You get a young dog that does something totally off the wall like that, and you're sitting there to yourself, you're like, how the hell did we pull that out of your ass?
Bro, we left.
But you don't want to say that out loud.
Yeah.
You're like,
we left and went and ate lunch. We took a break. Like, they weren't coming back, dude. They were rolling. And I was like, hell yeah. Awesome. Like, this is badass, It's like, well, whatever. Like, I guess they're okay. I'm like, God almighty.
I guess it worked. You're over here walking tall, boy, and chest puffed out.
And the next time I took him, dumb son of a bitch didn't go 200 yards. And I sat there thinking, I was like, well, if you'd seen him this time, you would have known he sucked.
Maybe he was right.
We did that. We had a big anti-hunting proposition come through back in, what was it, 96? So all these news organizations were getting a hold of us. They wanted to go on these bear hunts so they could do this story on why we wanted to keep bear hunting in Idaho and why we wanted to chase bears in Idaho with hounds. And so we took all these news guys with us, and the very first guy that come, we cranked loose off the bait, and we're standing there, and the damn bear goes 150 yards and pops up a tree. So he walks in there with his whole video camera crew and takes this video of this bear in this tree, and he's like, "Oh, this is how it is."
See how
we're
easy
like,
this was?
no, that's not how it is. Don't
looks all
video
sad
this.
up there.
Yeah, go wander around in the trees for several hours with your video, and then come back. We'll stay here at the base of the tree and wait for you.
Yeah. Well, that was the
And then,
good thing about this
uh,
guy. He's an anthropologist, and he's studying this stuff. He's writing a book on it. And that's one thing he did say. He said, when I came out here, he said, I had the idea that it wasn't really even fair chase, like it's not fair to the game. And now he was like he walked, like we hunted. The first day we walked his feet off, and then the second day we rode around and rigged a lot. Then we dry casted stuff so he could see each way it worked. And we had a couple of races, but we didn't put our hands on any game. And he said, that's hard. I was like, now, if we were dependent on that to eat, we might as well go to McDonald's. That's how it is. I said, this is how it really is the majority of the time. I said, that shit on Instagram and Facebook, that's only the good things.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, most of the time you don't see me posting my ass getting kicked.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's what I'll have people that'll be like, man, you've been putting some big deer on the tailgate. Man, y'all must be kicking ass. It's like, well, I don't take pictures of the 19 deer we didn't find this week. I didn't have any pictures of them because we didn't find some pictures. So it's not all rainbows and butterflies. I'm gonna post a big deer, but you didn't see the 7 that outran us the day before. It's like you only see the good on that social media, which, I mean, it's hard to. For me, I'm at this point where I'm like, I don't want to video my freaking life or any of that stuff. Like, I want to post some little highlight reels, but I don't really care about going through the ups and downs and everything that I do throughout my daily deal running these dogs. But it's like, I don't think people appreciate half of it because they either don't run dogs and don't know, or the guys that do run dogs are like, oh, this guy, he catches deer every damn day and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, no. I got my ass smoked yesterday and I walked 3 miles through public land and got briars up my ass and stickers in the dog's paws the whole way. And just like, yeah, you don't see that side of it. I probably should post that side of it more often, but it's just kind of hard to do. Especially when I'm frustrated. We went to a track the other day, and I've never seen stickers like this. Do y'all have like grass burrs up there? Like little, we call them goat heads or stickers.
Yep.
They're like,
yeah.
y'all have those? Y'all got sandy country like that?
Yep.
Have them?
Yep.
Well, we went to this place in Oklahoma, and I shit you not, there was like a 100-acre pasture, and the entire thing was stickers. And you know where that deer went? Right through that bitch. And poor dog's going. It was funny is he got up there and he was walking and he was on. You could see his nose down and he's trailing, and he was going about 1 foot per 5 seconds. And the guy's like, "Well, what is he doing?" I was like, "He's on the trail." But we hadn't hit this. We hadn't hit the sticker patch yet. He had hit it. And I was like, I don't know. Let me go up there. He's kind of tiptoeing. I go up there. He had 10 burrs in each freaking paw. And I was like, oh shit. And that was the beginning of the pasture that we were going through. And we got through there. Every freaking 100 yards, I'm picking him out. Like he'll go. Like he's not coming back and asking you to pull him out, but he looks miserable. And I'm like, well, shit. I don't want. I'm gonna try to help him here, And by the time we got through it there, and we got through there and got to the deer, and I was like, man, I told that guy, I was like, I appreciate you calling us out, but I said, if I never come back here ever again, it would be too soon. And he's just like, I don't blame you, man. It's just like, I was covered from my ankles to my crotch in stickers, and poor dog. It was a shit show.
pretty wild.
Yeah, yeah. You get like that, and then you get the one that runs 50 yards, and the guy's like, "Oh, that was easy," and I'm like, "Yeah, I mean, that happens, and that's the one you usually see the picture of.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
nobody sees the burrs up to your balls, and you know, the other night I ran into a boat arc limb, and I thought it about killed me. I told you about that, didn't I, Joey?
I think so. Yeah.
Where I was walking, looking down at my
Yeah.
light,
Yeah. Yeah.
looking for blood, and hit a boat
So,
arc limb and
mhm.
put me on my ass, and
Yeah, I
I end up
remember
with
that.
a gash on my head from the limb, and then a gash on my chin from busting my chin on my scope. I was just like, what are we even doing right now? I want to go home. Blood everywhere. Um,
It happens.
it does happen. Well, Mr. Chuck, you got a good story for us?
No.
You've been running hounds longer than I've probably been alive. I want to hear some good shit.
Yeah, there's a lot of stories. I mean, when I was a kid, there was that's the bad part about today is you can capture everything you want on a damn phone. When
I
I was a
know it.
kid, I mean, I look at all the mishaps and the stupid shit that happened when I was a kid that we never got to document,
Hmm.
If I would have had a smartphone when I was a kid, I'd be a millionaire,
Oh yeah.
Oh God.
you know.
Do you have a
Just
story when you were growing up that you just can't you can't forget, like with your dad or something?
when I wasn't there, but my old man come home, he was helping a guy guide out by Chalice, Idaho. And they was on a bear. They was on a pretty good sized bear. There was three houndsmen out there. They was running a pretty good sized bear out there to Chalice, and it's really cliffy country out there. You'll have 100-foot cliffs pretty easy, and there's kind of ledging. And they pushed this bear. They had 15 dogs or so on this bear, and they pushed it up this ledge. And the bear had went up there, and he just kind of stuck his head in the crack, and he thought he was hid. He just and the,
Like
the
an
dogs
ostrich
are
in the
standing.
sand?
Yeah, the dogs are just standing there out on this ledge, and they can't get past each other. It's narrow, and this buddy of my dad's is like, well, crap, I can go up there and I can get on that ledge right there to the right of him, and I can probably get that bear at least, because the guy's shooting a long rifle, shooting a 300 or whatever he was shooting. Anyway, he's like, I can get up there on that ledge, and I can at least get that bear to come out, and then we can get him shot. He's a really nice sport. So he gets up there and he gets on this ledge headed towards that bear, and all of a sudden the dogs decided they want to pressure that bear, and they started flicking hair out of his ass. Well, he pulled his head out of the crack, and the only way he could go is where that guy was walking on the other ledge.
Mm.
So he rears up and he gives that guy a big old bear hug. He swatted him to the side of the head first to push him out of the way, and the guy couldn't go anywhere because the damn ledge was too narrow.
Mm.
So then the bear gets up on his back legs and he gives him a big old bear hug, and he goes to bite at him, and he bit the bill of his hat.
Oh
Mm.
my God.
And then when his hat popped off. So when his hat popped off, the hunter, he fell backwards about 15 feet, and the bear popped back and looked at him like, oh my hell, I just ripped this guy's head off. And just the second that bear got a stupid look on his face, the shooter shot him right off the ledge.
Mm.
Oh,
Yeah, he comes home, and the next time I see him, he's got stitches along. I mean, he was like the local hero for 3 or 4 years after that. He was like the hero at Rexford. That was so damn funny. I ran him. I bet you don't do that again. He's like, that's the dumbest thing I ever done. The only place he could go was right at me.
Mm.
set yourself up for disaster there.
Yeah.
That'd have to be a tough
In
feeling.
'96, when they was pushing that big anti-hunting thing through Idaho in '96, we thought, well, crap, if they're actually going to beat us, we probably all ought to harvest a pretty nice boar. So I hadn't killed a bear for so long. I was running with a bunch of buddies, and all of a sudden the dogs go across the canyon, and shit, everything went quiet. For the most part, we can hear a bear race for a mile away or so if you pay attention. So anyway, but they went quiet. We walked a mile over there. I said, well, they got to be stopped right there. I never heard them go over top. So we hike in there a mile, and they had this bear in a den, and there was one buddy that had a 40 cal, and I was going to shoot this bear in the den with my bow. So I get down on my knees, and I can see the bear back in there. And my brother was with me, and I handed him my 44 mag, and he's standing behind me, and the other two had 40s. And I says, well, I'm gonna go ahead and shoot this bear in that den. And I got down on my knees, and I sent an arrow in there and sickled it in there, and it hit the dang bear pretty good right in the chest, and it was bleeding pretty good. And anyway, it just kind of settled down in there, and pretty quick it was laying down flat, and I gave it about 15 minutes, and I'm like, okay, you sons of bitches, I'm gonna go in there and get that bear. But if you see me come squirting out, I want you sons of bitches to be throwing lead at that hole as I'm coming out. So I go in there and I grab a hold of his paw, and right when I pulled onto his paw, it sucked a bunch of air into that arrow hole, and it sounded like it was growling at me. And I come squirting out of there. I come squirting out of there about 700 miles an hour, and I looked around, and them sons of bitches were clear down at the creek bottom. They'd left me.
Damn.
I'd have been dead right there. I'm like, where'd you guys go? They're like, we ain't sticking around. I'm like, well, you're the ones with the pistol. You're supposed to be shooting lead behind me.
Mm.
Yeah.
That reminds me of that. Have y'all ever heard that Steve Rinella story on the Meat Eater about the grizzly bear there in Alaska? They're in the campfire.
I don't
No.
guess so.
Well, I'll probably misquote it a little bit, but anyways, they were up there. You know, I don't even know what they were hunting, but they all had pistols. They've been talking all week about grizzlies and how, grizzly comes in on us, we're gonna shoot that some bitch, or if we, we'll be fine. We know what we're doing, kind of deal. And they they were sitting at the campfire, and this grizzly comes through, which I'm sure they had a kill at camp or something or whatever it was. But he said that grizzly came through, and he said it was like a bunch of girls just running in all directions. One guy grabbed a fishing pole or like a walking stick and started swinging it. Like none of them grabbed a gun. None of them did anything that was going to save their lives. They all just went to a freaking retreat mode. And he's like, you looked around, we were all big and bad until that son of a bitch came through there, and not a swinging dick had a gun in their hand or anything. I think luckily nobody got hurt or anything, but it was funny because it was all big and bad talk. It kind of reminds me of that. Oh yeah, we'll be fine. We're bad and we can do it. And one guy swinging a fly rod at a damn grizzly bear.
Yeah. Yeah, you don't worry about it. We got your back. We got your back right here. Then you come
Yeah.
come into that shit situation. Well, where the hell did you guys go? I about to be 8. We stared. We're getting the hell out of Dodge.
Damn.
Oh, that's good stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, and then I guided for quite a few years down in Utah when I was a punk kid. In my 20s, I guided some lion hunts down there, and we had so much fun down there. When you're a kid, you do some stupid crap anyway, but we'd catch them in them dens down there, them old mine shafts down in there in northern Utah and stuff like that. And we just had a blast down there in northern Utah. I mean, it's just like I was telling you, the biggest tree down there. I mean, you got a few pine pockets, but for the most part, you're going to catch them in a 10-foot cedar tree. So you got 8 dogs at the base of a 10 or 8-foot cedar tree, and I mean, you can walk right up to the cat and poke him in the nose with your finger if you want.
Mm.
Yeah.
Sometimes it gets a little western, and some of them guys, you'd get those guys that had come in, them clients that had come in and they'd never been around something like that, and you're like, well, and before you get to kill the cat, you have to ring the dinner bell. So you'd make him go up there. You'd make him go up there and get a hold of that cat and just ring the tail on that cat. And I tell you what, some of that, it got western. We got down there. We're down there running for fun down there, just dinking off, and we was down right on the Nevada border, and that Nevada border's got some questionable characters that live right there anyway. There's a whole bunch of squatters and guys that just live out in the brush on nothing. Anyway, we turned loose on this Tom on the other side of the mountain, and we cranked loose on him, and I'm like, oh shit, that's going right to that squatter's house. And so we go over top the mountain. I'm like, well, we was with the outfitter, and the outfitter's like, well, heck, I'll go talk to that guy. So it looked like a pallet house with a picture window in the front. It was just an old ramshackle house. And anyway, we pull up, and you could see this guy holding his coffee cup in that picture window. And the outfitter walks up there and knocks on the door, and that guy stepped out of that picture window, and he was stark ass naked. He didn't have a stitch of clothes on. Didn't have a stitch of clothes on. And he's like, "What can I help you with?" And he's like, "Well, we got a Tom lion hunting. He's coming right towards your house. We just want to let you know we're going to be in the vicinity of your house." I don't give a shit. But he was, and that outfitter, he just kept eye contact. I'm like, "How did you keep eye contact with that guy?" And he's like, "That's all you could look at. You could just look him in the eye. You didn't dare look anywhere else."
And you wouldn't want to be looking over your shoulder, and who knows what that crazy guy's gonna do.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, just don't have him welcome you in his house. That's for sure.
Oh Lord,
Man.
Well, you got any questions for us? I know we're not very don't have a whole lot to offer, but you got anything that's different than your country?
Yeah. So, where's Joey and Nathan at? Where are you guys?
Well, Alabama.
In Alabama.
Yes, sir.
And you're running. What are you running there?
Mostly hogs, but we run anything that we can run with dogs. We coon hunt a little bit. We squirrel hunt with dogs. There's a lot of folks around here that run deer dogs, but like I said, we do a little blood tracking ourselves, and then most of the time it's running hogs because we can run hogs pretty much year round, and so that keeps our dogs in the woods.
And a lot of public land or a lot of private land stuff.
Private land.
Private land stuff.
We cannot run wild hogs on public land here.
Oh.
Yeah, there's public land to hunt, but you cannot run dogs on it. It's a big hoopla. And the
majority of ours is like that too, Joey.
Yeah.
Like there's public that you can, I think most of the stuff that you can deer hunt, you can run a dog on, but a lot of the places is like waterfowl or whatever only, and you can't be caught in there with a dog or your ass to the grass.
Now we can run we could go squirrel hunt with our cur dogs and accidentally catch hogs.
Right. Time to time they do that.
Yeah, you can do that. But
crashy suckers.
Yeah. Other than that, though, like I said, and used to we had a lot of big blocks of property, and it's got down to where, man, it's all been like the timber companies have it, and then they lease it out in smaller parcels, and you got to have permission from 10 surrounding landowners just so you can hunt 8 or 10,000 acres.
Yeah.
And a lot of them, they're not even from here, and they lease it to deer hunt. And so it can be a pain just to hunt. If you got a long range dog, if you got a real good hound, it's almost not even, you don't even want one here, because you can't really hunt it.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it is what it is. We just make do.
Well, don't come here. We got enough.
Yeah, I done told you my dogs suck anyway, so they wouldn't go anywhere.
Yeah, I shot a pig in Texas a couple years ago out of a tower blind. I was kind of kicking the butt, but that's about the closest I've ever been to a hog. We don't have hogs in Idaho.
Yes, sir.
Whereabouts were you?
Down to Freer, just south of San Antonio.
Oh, you were south, yeah.
Yep. Yeah,
that's where we ate. That's where we were at when we went down to Cases. That's right at Freer. Well, or not Cases, Ricky's. When we went down there, hunted the water spots. Yeah, we hunted around Freer.
Yep. Yeah, the old football player, the old Green Bay Packer, Ty Detmer owns a ranch right there at Freer. We went down and hunted with him.
Okay.
Yep, hunted a hog and hunted whitetails. A little bit of exotic stuff.
Yeah, there's a lot of exotics.
That's a whole different country down there, man.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, it's not Idaho. It ain't Idaho down there.
I bet that's a whole different world for you.
Yeah, we it was, I think it was mid-December or something when we went down there. I left here and we'd been lion hunting for about a week or so, and then I flew down there and I was lion hunting. I think it got up to like 30 degrees when I left to go down to Freer, and then I stepped off the plane down there at 75, and I'm like, what in the hell have I done?
Not many days below 75 down there.
Whew. Yeah, it was warm. When I it was like a big old heat burst hit me right when I stepped off the plane, and I'm like, dude, we're not in Kansas anymore.
Yeah, in
But it was
December,
fun.
and that's busy time there for the deer are really rocking down there like early December. So
Yeah. Yeah, it was fun. I didn't think I'd like something like that, but it was a blast, especially the people I went down there with just to hang out. And I don't care if I did kill anything down there, just to hang out with some of them guys was a blast and see the new country. And it's not very often you can. There's no way you're going to sit a tree stand in Idaho and watch bobcats walk underneath you like that.
oh yeah.
There was bobcats out in that damn mesquite brush thicker than thieves.
You wish you brought some dogs.
Oh yeah, yeah. I sit there froth at the bed. I'm like, man. But like I say, my dogs would probably hit a bobcat track on that dirt down there at 75 degrees and be like, what in the hell you want me to do?
I can
Yeah.
only imagine. I'll be worthless up there in the snow. I know that's.
It's fun to watch. It's fun to watch some of them guys. We had a couple of guys from Texas come up last year, and it's so fun to watch those guys flounder around in the snow and try to stay upright on a snow machine. And yeah, it's almost worth the money. You can almost do it for free with the amount of enjoyment you get out of watching them guys.
Like we hunted in the snow for the first time ever this year. We did.
Yeah,
When the Boudin boys came down.
No, we'd hunted in the snow before.
I
Yeah, when we went up to Florence. Remember when those games?
Yeah, but that was ice, mostly ice. We had a good snow this year. We had like 5-6 inches of snow. It was a good thick blanket of snow. Yeah, and that's probably only the second or third time that we've ever got to hunt in any type of snow. It's very different. Our dogs they don't know what they're doing.
Yeah, it's funny how wet they can get just in a short amount of time and just a little bit of snow.
Oh, my puck dog shivers when it gets below 70 degrees over here.
Well, you can tell it definitely helped with the scent because like when they fell out, like they were on. But then like some of the young dogs, they just started playing. Like they were just running the slide. And I was like, what? Wait a minute. You're supposed to be running a track. Like, what are you doing?
Looks like a damn river otter out there.
Yes.
Doing slides in the snow.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's funny. Well, Joey, what else you got, brother?
That's it, man. I'm good.
We're right at 2 hours. Cool. That's been about the ballpark.
Yeah, I think it's about right. About 2 hours. I think we're good on.
Mr. G, you got any story to close us out on, or are you good?
Yeah, I think I'm good. I think I fed you guys enough crap that you'll have something to talk about for the next little while anyway. You know, the second a hound guy starts talking, you don't have to. It's bullshit. So
yeah, smoke
you're just gonna
is
have to filter out what you think through. And yeah. So
well, I
mean,
appreciate you having us on.
Yeah, it's great to do something like this. I did one here a little bit ago with the guys down south, and it's fun to get on and meet different people and the way the dogs are used differently than what you're used to. This year we ended up hitting an elk. We had a hunter hit an elk, and so we brought in a blood dog on that elk. But he has to keep in Idaho. You have to keep your dog on a 200-foot tether. You can't you can't blood trail free. You can't let the dog go on a free cast. So you have to keep him in a tether. But it was really impressive to watch that blood dog work. I think it was either a Malinois or a German Shepherd bred dog.
Oh wow!
But that dog was crazy. He done a really nice job. He ended up tracking that elk right down, and It jumped him out of a bed about a half mile later, and there wasn't an ounce of blood in that bed. You know, I think the hunter hit him in that air pocket, like you're talking, between the spine and the top of the lungs.
Yeah.
And we never ended up. I mean, that elk wasn't hurt a bit.
Yeah. That's impressive. They went and found it. How long after the shot did y'all trail it?
About 8 hours.
Yeah. It's good.
Yeah, but them, you know, them bull elk, they get stinky.
Oh yeah, it's like our aoudad down here are just
Yeah.
rank. That's the only thing I can compare to an elk. You know, I've only been elk hunting for like the last 5 years or so, but you get in there and you're like, a bull has just been here, or you know, I mean, like you can smell them if they're coming in, you can smell them from 50 yards away, or you know, maybe further when you're downwind. I mean, those things are freaking rank, and the aoudad are like that here. You can almost trail them without even having a blood trail. They're so nasty.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, that was a new adventure. You know, I always watch you guys with the deer dogs back east and stuff, and always respect it. But this was the first for me, especially a dog that wasn't a hound, like that Malinois Shepherd bred stuff, and the way he
That's a
worked. You know,
different breed.
Yeah, different breed, but super awesome to watch. And great nose on him, and man, he never faltered off that blood trail. And it wasn't much. It was a pin drop every 50, 60 yards.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he did a nice job. It was kind of fun to watch.
Yeah, that's not a very typical breed that you see around here for blood trailing at all. I mean, I don't know that I've ever seen that, honest to God.
Yeah, yep. Yeah,
Just goes to show it don't matter I mean, obviously there's breeds that are made for doing what we do, but you know, I've also seen some crazy looking dog that, you know, long hair, got 1 foot of leg and can trail for miles, you know. It's like it ain't always the breed, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Some dogs are just born that way.
Yep.
Yep.
I agree with you.
Well, cool. Well, I appreciate you coming on.
Yeah, way fun. But really, yeah, nice to get to know you guys, and it's always great to get on here and be able to BS for a little while.
Yeah, it was
Oh,
good
yeah.
to get to talk to you, Mr. G.
Well, you have a good rest of the season, y'all. We'll keep in touch. I appreciate you.
You betcha.
All right.
Appreciate
sir.
you guys.
Have a good one.
Yep, bye.
All right. Okay. Get some kicked off. All right. Well, there we go. That's no one in the books.
Yes, indeed.
I think I might have hung up on Ricky. I wasn't trying to, or he might have hung up. Either way, it's over.
It's over.
It's over. It's another episode of Don't Run with Lite Hounds. Y'all make sure to check out all his social media stuff. Y'all keep up with him. That guy's making moves constantly. And I noticed the other day he had them little sweatsuits in. I just couldn't help it. I like it. Like, they're so cool. Y'all go get some merch from Ricky.
Oh yeah.
Y'all go check it out. Go check out Lite Hounds. Get you some merch from them. And hey, we appreciate y'all. Thank y'all for supporting us, and we'll keep pushing them out. Until next time, we'll see y'all.
Thank you. Hope you enjoyed that episode. If there's anything or anyone you'd like to hear on the podcast, or if you'd like to come hunt with us, don't hesitate to contact us at dixiedoggers01@gmail.com.